Okay, let's go through the process of making the labels. You can start at avery.com, go to the design and print. It helps if you're signed into an account. The account we have is my email address and the password is Westfield, all lowercase. Once you're signed in, hit start designing. Something that's pretty important is making sure that you choose a GHS label, because if you just choose a generic label, even if it's the same size in terms of label size, it won't give you the GHS options. And the GHS options that you want, of course, are all the special pictograms and whatnot. Choose whatever label you think is most appropriate for the container. These NFPA fire codes, we don't really need those. The GHS compliant labels would be all of these up here. This one is probably one of the simpler ones, or that one. Let's just choose this one to get going. All of the things are very easily modified later on. If you go ahead and put in a CAS number, we're going to do sulfuric acid, and it'll put in that last the check digit for you. In many cases, it'll go ahead and it will self-populate things that it knows. You could also type in sulfuric acid. It's this, this is good, but it's by no means totally complete. You can add in chemical lot information and also the company information, which are, the company information is something that's required by the GHS labeling. In many cases, we're going to go ahead and use Flynn. Hit next. This will allow you to go ahead and double check the hazard codes and the caution codes. But like I said, it's going to try and fill it in if it knows what the material is. In some cases, we're going to want to add, remove, modify, and that's something that you can do very easily in the next screen as well. It's giving you the preview of the label. I want you to click here to absolve them of any problems. Hit finish, and we get to the place where we can go ahead and edit the label. These are basically just text boxes that are movable. We can go ahead and change font. Like, one thing I could see is wanting to go ahead and make the product name much bigger, and you might want to go ahead and say, if this is a label for a secondary container, you might want to put specifically what it is. Move these things as appropriate. One thing you'll notice is that here, the cautionary statements, there's some red text here, and that's because they're assuming that you would want to modify that. And these cautionary statements are okay, but they're not great. A place where I think there's better cautionary statements is from Flynn. So if we go and we search for sulfuric acid in Flynn, we'll choose the product family here and come down to the hazard alert. This one pretty much does a good job of saying it all, and we could just copy and paste that hazard alert into this text box. I'm not sure why it came up red, probably because the text I replaced it with was red. But that's easy enough to change. I think that this hazard alert is pretty good. It gives you information that you would want to see as a result of looking at the label. Under the lot info, I think it'd be a good idea to go ahead and, especially for a solution, say when we went ahead and made the solution, and if it's something else, when it was purchased. You have a lot of options here. I'll let you go ahead and play around with things. If you need to add text boxes, that's pretty easy to do. It's just basically a text editor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and fix this up, make it very nice, and we'll come back and show you how to print. Okay, so we have this label pretty much fixed up. It has the 6 GHS standardized elements, which are the product name, the signal word, the hazard pictogram, the hazard and precautionary statements, which would be these two, and the manufacturer information. And of course, as New Jersey requires the CAS number on everything. So now that we're ready to print these out, you can go to the print up here. And also, something to point out here too is you could edit individual labels to make different labels. I don't know why you would necessarily do that. it's better to get this label set. It seems like a bit of work to get it set up, but the idea is we just want to do this once and then save it to the account, which actually I'll do that now. So I just hit save project, and I want to save this as sulfuric acid 0.1 molar solution, just so I know what it is. Save to the account. You could save it to your computer too, but it's going to make this Avery file, which I think you're going to have to go online to open anyway. I haven't tried it yet. So now we hit print. This will pop up. Now, one thing is there was a lot of text on this label. Probably for a transfer bottle, where we're going to want to get away with less information on it, but still everything that's required. Normally I just hit skip this step, because if you hit fix, sometimes it goes back and does weird things. For a big bottle, like if we were making a label for a 2.5 liter bottle, we're going to use a much bigger label, and you probably won't get this, but we're just going to skip that step. You want print it yourself. This is basically you tell them and they send it to you. But since we have the GHS labels, hit print it yourself, and then you want to take a look at these two options, because in many cases you're probably not going to want to print 10 labels. So the first one is fill direction, which just basically, do you want, if you're not going to print a full sheet, do you want to start and just print one side first and then the next side, or go that way? It doesn't matter. Well, let's say you just want to print 2 labels, and you'd say, okay, I'm going to print labels 1 and 2. So that's only going to print these 2. But you can also say, let's say you print those out, and then you come back and you still have the sheet that's got all these other labels. Well, the next time you would want to tell it to print between labels 3 and 4, and you'll notice that this will change if you change the fill direction. So something to be aware of, and it's good because we won't be wasting the labels, since they're sort of expensive. Scroll down and hit print now, and what it does is it just makes a PDF. So then you print the PDF. You can save the PDF, but you just go ahead, print it onto the GHS labels, and you're good to go. One thing I would point out is this information. Excuse me. This information that I got over here. Actually, let's see. Go back. This information I got over here, I also took that from Flynn in the product details. The Flynn product details are pretty good, especially disposal, shelf life, what it's supposed to be. That can be helpful. And if we're going to go through the work of making a label, it's really not much more. So hopefully this will go ahead and help you in how to make some labels. It's a process we're learning. I'm getting better at it. We'll get through this. Thanks.